Hello, I'm the reviewer. As many of you know, in the last season of Doctor Who, I took on this personality as many of us get a title of something we strive to be. I strive to be the reviewer. I have not been that for you with Doctor Who, but consider myself regenerated. Yes, guys, gals, and everything in between, I am back for Doctor Who. As you guys have probably noticed, I've been gone a while. It started out, I was doing principal photography for my short film, Holmes University 4. Then it became where I was working day in and day out, like the two-job kind of scenario. Then it became just I was actually feeling sick, and one thing led to another either way. I actually started picking it up again after last week, but last week's episode was so boring, I don't even want to talk about it. I'm back for you this week. Oh, okay. So in all reality, I break down the episodes, as you guys know, and I discuss it, and I say what I like and didn't like as I go along, but let's be real here, there is one big topic we all want to talk about. So, one last chance to back out and watch the episode. If you guys think this is going to be spoiler-free, it's not. We have some really big spoilers to talk about, so here we go. We open up, and Clara and the Doctor are on the TARDIS. And as they're on the TARDIS, they're walking around, and they get a phone call. They're talking about their other misadventures. I like hearing that, where they have these random adventures we don't necessarily see. And so that kind of, at least to me, shows we don't know how much time has passed. As the Doctor and Clara get a phone call, it's the guy from the last season, if you guys don't remember, the episode where the TARDIS kept shrinking. It's that guy, yeah. And Clara gave him the TARDIS's phone number, and he called for help because he's got a tattoo on his back, and I like the comedic exchange, like, we can't just undo your being crazy. And he's like, no, you don't understand, it's counting down. So the Doctor's like, oh, that's interesting. I like the balance of serious and humor the first two acts had in this. So as they go into the house, the Doctor looks at it and goes, oh, this is very interesting. And I love his remarks about humans, where he's like, oh, the new one. And how he calls it the new one. They're like, oh, we didn't know you had a kid. Yeah, I thought the guy was, I don't know how much time has passed. But wasn't that kid like 15? Oh well, he has a kid now. So as that happens, they are looking for a lost sort of alley, if you will. They're looking for Diagon Alley in Harry Potter. And he's like, okay, walk around the city. And you see Clara's being reckless throughout this whole thing. She feels immortal when she's with the Doctor. She's hanging out of the TARDIS, and as they're looking at the maps, and they're walking around looking for all these blank spaces where you lose track. So maybe there are actually hidden civilizations in plain sight when all of a sudden you kind of lose your train of thought as you're walking throughout just everyday life. I love that concept. This was a really interesting concept, and I gotta say, this is definitely the best episode of the season, if you ask me. As they go through it, they reveal, and you see it, and there's like a murder, and they walk through, and there's all these weird people, and it's a refugee camp. Ooh, refugee camp. You wonder if they thought about that one when they made this. Probably didn't, because they shot it last year. Talk about all that. Oh, look, a Dalek! Guys, gals, and everything in between, I'm not going to delve into the whole thing about this is a refugee camp of a bunch of somewhat deadly aliens for a lot of them that aren't supposed to be there. Yeah, that one I'm not going to touch on in this episode right now. I don't want to get into a political discussion in the comment section. It's just not worth my time. Doctor Who has a really good job, though, of taking events in culture and making them relevant. I don't think that that's what they had in mind when they were thinking about this. So any of you out there who maybe want to pose that theory, I really genuinely don't believe that that's what they were talking about. as they're going through, they find out that the reason why he's got the ticking clock is because Maisie Williams says, oh, he killed somebody, he's gonna pay. He's gonna hang in however much time it is. I want to say it's about an hour. And so the doctor's like, well, if we prove his innocence, you know, he doesn't get to die. And we see someone who dies, and I don't know why, I kept thinking of this as the Edgar Allan Poe episode, even though it doesn't even involve Edgar Allan Poe, because quoth the raven nevermore. I love the idea of a raven being this spirit that's gonna kill them and take them away, like the bad people. And so they live in this refugee camp with Maisie Williams, and she's donned the role of the mayor. And I like how he's like, oh, so you're in a seat of power now. And she was like, I took upon a role that I strove to be. And so she was like, you can relate to that, doctor, because they ultimately did the same thing. So he's the doctor, she's the mayor. I like that comparison. So Maisie Williams, in a way, is a Time Lord, like the Master, the Doctor, and now the Mayor, and has taken up this role. And Maisie Williams in this episode was kind of a villain role, and I was really intrigued. And yes, I've seen the other episodes prior to this, so I know about her weird, jumbled up past and all that stuff, but I liked that this episode kind of made her more of a villain. I could see her as a recurring villain on Doctor Who now. So, as Clara is going around looking for information, they're all interrogating various creatures. The Doctor sees that there's like Cybermen, there's Ood, and all of these characters. The Jadoon are back. Well, they were back, sort of. They were essentially a sprite that they superimposed on the screen. But either way, it's a bit of progress for Moffat putting in characters from before. Now we get to the real meat of the episode, and guys, gals, and everything in between, this episode really did hit me hard. Clara said, okay, you know what, don't worry about it, because if you transfer over all of the powers to me, essentially, like the execution clock tattoo, transfer it over to me, and the doctor will feel like he's got to solve it right away. He's going to irritate Maisie Williams to the point that she's just going to take it away. And so after a little bit of push and shove, he gives it up. And so she has the ticking clock, and the doctor doesn't realize it yet. And they're going around looking, and she's like, you know, we're running out of time. And as you're sitting there and you see her worrying that they're running out of time, you're just like, oh my god, no. But the doctor's gonna save her at the last minute. And the doctor comes running over to Maisie Williams because, you know, they're figuring everything out. And they're like, well, if someone did this here, it would mean they'd all kind of get kicked out. And they don't want that in their refugee camp. That there's some bad eggs in the refugee camp who are hurting innocent people in the civilization they're living in. So yeah, continuing on that, they are now up into they're getting into the home stretches. They find that psychic person. They're like, wait, you know, everyone looks at him like a murderer, but there's that person over there who doesn't. So they go question him. And it turns out that that's her son, the weird double-faced lady who can see into the past and the future. I thought that was a really clever thing. And as they're looking into the past and the future, it's like, you know, it's kind of uncertain, but at the same time, I know that he didn't do it. At the same time where he didn't do it, I loved it. Like there's this sort of whodunit mystery about it all. I personally loved the idea that they're hunting down a killer, and it's kind of like Clue, but in Diagon Alley, and that was all intriguing to me. They go in and they find the mom. She's not really dead. She's in a weird container, and he's like, no, but in order to let her go, I need the TARDIS key. So as he's locking the TARDIS key, a cuff gets put on him, and they're trying to take it off, and Maisie Williams reveals that this is in fact a teleporter to take him away. They want the TARDIS, and they said in order to make sure this area stays safe, we need to make it like the Doctor is gone. So it's essentially the Pandorica opens again. And Maisie Williams is like, I beat you, Doctor, just surrender it up. Here, I will remove your your countdown execution clock. And then he's like, I don't have it. And she's like, what are you talking about? And then the doctor's kind of like, just give it up already. Like, we no longer have that countdown. And Clara's like, I took it. Maisie Williams is just like, once this thing has been passed once before, like, I can't undo that. That is him giving his contractual consent to you dying instead. And you can't just undo it. And the doctor and she's like, well, doctor, you can save me. You can come in at the last minute. You always do this. Like, the doctor comes in at the last minute, swoops in with his hand, and is like, I'm going to save you. And he's like, I can't save you. And he's like, but you know what? She can. And Malcolm Tucker almost started coming out for a bit. He's like, I'm going to make your life hell. And he starts yelling at her. And Clara's like, please, I don't want this to be my last moment. The doctor's like, I'm going to save you. And she realizes she can't be saved. And it's so rough to watch because Clara is like the doctor's route to his past. She's been there for everything. In ways, she's been there more than Rose has. I mean, Rose was like the woman he fell in love with, but this is someone who's connected on a different way. Like, their lives are linked. So all of a sudden, he's like, no, I can't let you go. I don't want you to go. And Claire's like, I don't want to go either, but I have to. It's okay. And you have this moment of them, like, hugging each other, and you see the doctor break and become like a child for just a moment. I don't know. I started to break too, because Clara, I relate to Clara Oswald in terms of the way she acts, the way her mannerisms, just her personality. It's someone that, to me, like, I connect on so many levels with Clara. I was watching this and I'm like, I feel like I'm watching someone I know on a personal level die, because I've watched Clara for years now. And I'm watching this person die. Like Rose Tyler, at least you know she's still alive in another dimension. But Clara, it's like she's going to her death, and she hears the raven caw, and Maisie Williams is like, no one was supposed to get hurt, and the doctor is just livid. And she's like, promise me you won't go after revenge. Be a doctor. He's like, but there's nobody to save. I love that line. Oh my god, that's such a good line, but what if there's no one to save? Because he doesn't care anymore. She's like, you're gonna be lonely. You're gonna be alone again, and you're not good at that. She knows because she's been there through his whole entire existence, basically. She goes outside, and oh god, you guys, if I had done a reaction video, you know those people that I make fun of for crying in, like, Star Wars Force Awakens trailers? I was at that moment where all of a sudden, like, you are not gonna kill Clara off. The doctor's gonna come in and save her last minute. I mean, I knew that this is her last season of the show, but, you know, doctor's gonna save her and he's gonna be our hero and stuff. And it's like a straight up Lord of the Rings moment, to me anyway, where there's the slow-mo and she walks outside and she's like, I can be brave. I can be brave. And I'm like, no! And the raven flies at her and boom! And then it does the Lord of the Rings thing, as I said, where it's like, Gandalf! Where she's just like, ah! And it goes to, and you see the doctor and he's just kind of like, no! He's watching Clara die. And oh, like, she's dying and it's painful, and you can see she's not dying easy. Like, she's having her soul ripped out of her. And the smoke comes out and she falls, and she conveniently has, like, that Jesus metaphor pose that so many movies and TV shows do. Oh my god. It's perfect. Like, her death is perfect, and the doctor watches her die. That is the thing that I was like, oh my god, it's like slow-mo, the sound, the music, how it all mutes, but the music is there. Oh, it is the way, if Clara was gonna go out in a way that's gonna make you feel like you got stabbed in the heart, this is the way to do it. Then the doctor goes upstairs and everyone knows Clara's gone. And Maisie Williams is just kind of like, I'm sorry, doctor. Like, I didn't mean for this to get hurt. And he was like, I made a promise to Clara, but I'm very angry with you. And many people who I'm angry with, you'll find that this is a very small universe. He says something along the lines of, you will find that when I'm angry with you, this becomes a real small universe. I'm trying to control my temper, but I can promise you, I'm going to rain hell on you. And so then they teleport, and where does he go? And then you see, I always forget his name. It was something like, I always forget the guy's name, but you see him, and they make, like, on the outside of the TARDIS, he's spray painting. Does that mean that a ton of time has passed? Like, is he back home? Why is he spray painting the TARDIS? And he's got that Clara memorial? Like, seriously, how much time has passed? And so, oh my god, so many things. Like, this death was perfect. It was perfect in every way. I loved it. It was amazing. It was on that level where I feel like I lost an actual person I know. And, like, Clara's gone, guys. I know that she might have, the rumor is, one more scene or something like that she's in. But, guys, Clara Oswald is gone. And she's not coming back. She died. And that, to me, is just a really heartbreaking thing. Because she's gone. And I just don't know how to process that. The death scene was perfect. This episode is the best episode of the season by far. This Doctor Who on this season really needed that jolt of like, come on, come back to us. Be the Doctor Who that I loved in the Tennant era, and all that kind of stuff. It really needed a jump, if you ask me, because this season, anyway, was kind of lacking. I liked all the episodes, except for the last one. That was a piece of shit. But this season was definitely one of the weaker seasons, and this really just gave it that push. Now I'm like, oh my god, I need to like watch the next episode right now. Like, I can't wait. That is what this show needs to do. Alright, guys, gals, and everything in between, what did you guys think of this episode? Was it as amazing to you? Did it hit you hard for Clara's death? Share some of your favorite Clara moments below. And in the meantime, until then, rest in peace, Clara.